welcome to day 7 of Raider Resilience. Today we cool. If you're out there in the world around the time this video is being shot, it has been very hot. So today is all about releasing heat internally so that we can bring that body temperature down. That being said, there will be some poses. We're going to be staying on our mat the entire time. Just because we're on our mat doesn't necessarily mean we won't come up against challenges in these poses. So please remember that your barometer for how your body feels is the most important thing there is. Listen to what you need, pull back if you want, if that feels like it's nourishing. This flow should really be about meeting yourself where you're at, and when you arrive there, taking care of yourself. So no forcing, no pressing into positions, no hurting. Really let this be gentle, loving, and like I said, nourishing as we cool down. All right, team, let's go ahead and meet in child's pose. Toes together, knees wide, hips melting back towards those heels, palms reaching towards the top of the mat, starting to play around with grabbing the floor, shoulders down the back. Let's just do a little bit of pranayama, some breath work. That's a cooling breath. So we're going to inhale through the nose, fill the belly with air. Slight hold at the top, and then through pursed lips like you're blowing through a straw. Let the air go. Seal the lips, inhale through the nose. Suck in a little more air at the top, and then purse your lips like you're blowing through a straw. Moving at your own pace, exploring how the inhales allow the belly to drop, and how on the exhales, the belly lifts away from the thighs. Slowing down through our breathing, allowing that open mouth exhale to start to expel some of that heat. You don't necessarily need to hear your breath. I like to exaggerate it so you can hear what's going on. Beautiful. A few more rounds just like this, in through the nose. When you get to the top of that breath, suck in just a little bit more air. Emptying the lungs all the way. Seeing if we can focus the breath into the belly. And what I mean by that is allowing our belly to expand first before our back or our chest. So just starting to really expand all the way to the bottom of the lungs. And if as we sip in air, we find more space in the back of the lungs, maybe our back lifts and spreads between those rib cages, that's wonderful. But that initial breath, really send it right to that belly button, feeling that balloon expand against the thighs. And then again, as you exhale, the belly button draws back into the spine, nourishing through that diaphragm, through our lungs. One more nice deep inhale here. Sip in just a little more air at the top, really expand those lungs. And then shifting forward into our tabletop. Beautiful. Gripping through the floor with those finger pads. Inhale, we tip the tailbone down, pull the heart forward. First cow of our day. Exhale, starting at that tailbone, rolling one vertebra at a time. Hands and knees pull apart, chin to chest. Inhale, dropping through the belly. Heart pulling forward, engaging through the back muscles as hands and knees pull together. Exhale, rounding at the tailbone, squeezing the glutes, tipping all the way into chin to chest. Inhale, starting to spread the glutes as you drop through, articulating, pulling that heart forward through the forearms, eyes up, exhale, starting at the tailbone. Inhale, dropping the belly as we lift the hips, heart pulling forward, chin gazes towards the ceiling. And exhale, rounding through the spine. Coming into a neutral tabletop, hands above, or excuse me, below the hip, hands below the shoulders, knees below the hips. We're just gonna take little side bends here. So I'm gonna extend my rib cage to the left as I try to tap my shoulders and my hips on my right side. So inhale, and then exhale, other direction. Hips and shoulders go to the left as my ribs go to the right. Keeping that scoop in the tailbone, so we're really engaged here through the low belly so that we don't feel this in our low back at all. Really allowing yourself to explore what your range of motion is instead of forcing it. So if you start to feel a tweak in your low back at all, really make sure that the hip bones are pulling up into the rib cage. Beautiful. Finishing up with your own breath in 3, 2, taking it back to table. We're going to go for circles here with our cat-cow. So we're going to start by exhaling, pulling the belly button into the spine, sending it into cat. And now we're going to build on the 2 moves we just did. So we're going to draw the ribs up and over to the left, shoulders and hips to the right. Inhaling, circling the belly down through cow. Exhaling, hips and shoulders to the left as we round up through cat. Again, inhaling as we bring the ribs over to the left, tracing them down through cow. Big inhale. Exhaling, ribs over to the right. Beautiful space as we hit that cat. One more inhale, up and over to the left with the ribs. Inhaling, pulling the heart through. Exhaling, up and over to the left. And other direction. From that cat position, ribs go to the right. Hips lift, belly drops, heart pulls forward as we inhale through cow. Rib cage going up to the left. Circling it through that cat. Exhale, inhale, dropping, rounding over to the right. Exhale, ribs to the left, chin to that chest. One more just like this. Inhale. Exhale, big round through the spine. Beautiful. Coming into that tabletop position, let's go for a thread the needle. So gripping through that left finger pad. Right arm is going to extend to the sky. Big stretch. Inhale. Exhale, thread that needle. Drawing it across, allowing yourself to soften here. Shoulder is down. Eyes start to gaze over that left shoulder. We can walk the left arm out. We can bring it around into a bind. And then taking a moment here just to recenter with that cooling breath we set up with. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Letting your body soften here. Noticing where the tension is and gently trying to send oxygen to that area. Exhales, releasing that tension. Gone with the breath. One more nice deep inhale. Sip in that air at the top. Exhale, planting through that left palm, reaching back up to the sky. Big stretch. Inhale, set the hand down. We'll go right palm plants. Inhale, left arm up. Big inhale as we stretch, pulling away from that rib cage, from the floor. Exhale, threading the needle through. Head comes down gently, looking up and over past that left shoulder. Options for that right shoulder. Options for the right arm. We can extend. We can stay exactly as we are. We can bring it up and over to a bind, reaching the palm of our hand onto the top of that left thigh, or maybe the back of the right knuckles onto the left hip crease. Shoulders rolling back and away. And again, focusing on that breath. Inhale through the nose. Big sip of air at the top. Open mouth. Releasing. In this stretch, sometimes when we hold poses, we start to create our own heat. So that breathing we're doing is essentially creating a little AC for our inner temp. One more nice deep inhale. Exhale, gripping through the floor with that right palm as we extend through our left. Go ahead and send it both arms down. Let's do a little cat-cow. Inhale. Exhale, round the spine. Coming to neutral, we're going to walk our palms forward, keeping our hips stacked over our knees, melting it into puppy. So shoulders are down the back, forehead to the floor, arms a little bit wider than shoulder distance. Big breath in here. If you want a slightly deeper stretch, you can bring the chin to the floor. But only if that feels good. For some of us, we have a lot of neck tension, and this chest opener feels more painful than supportive, in which case, rest the forehead. If you feel heat, welcome it. Inhale and greet it, and then exhale and start to let it go. One more inhale, and on that exhale, start to walk it back to tabletop, rolling it gently onto our side. Melting all the way down to the floor, head acts as a little pillow. You can even bring it down to the bicep. My legs are bent, my heels are straight down from my hips. We're just going gentle circles, so lifting around and forward. I like to keep my opposite hand in front of me, or rather my top hand. It helps me keep my weight forward, because our goal here, as we're opening through the hips super gently, is that our hip bones stay still, so we're not flailing all over the place. We're really working with that singular range of motion, opening up through the hips. We've done this one from tabletop before. My core is engaged, so I'm thinking of pulling my hip bones towards the bottom of my ribs. One more here. And other direction, up and around, good. Sometimes switching direction can be a humbling experience. Sometimes my brain chooses to fart at that very moment. Good, team. Really just letting, again, this be so nourishing. Everybody's range of motion on this is going to be so different. Our hips hold a lot of tension. They hold a lot of emotion. So really just, again, allowing yourself to meet yourself where you're at without judgment, just exploration. One more here. Beautiful. We're going to roll it onto our belly. That same top hip is going to come out to the side into a half frog. So for me, it's my right leg to the side. My left leg is straight back. I'm going to take my left palm down, so I use it as a little pillow, and I'm coming into a half frog. So I have a cactus arm in my right arm, 90-degree bend in my right leg, and I'm opening up to the inside of my hip here. Nice, gentle breathing. Inhale. And cool. This is a very gentle hip opener. That's perfect for if you're starting to feel tension in the hips or even low back pain. It allows you to soften and breathe. So if you're starting to feel even anxiety, it can be a very nurturing pose, holding and releasing. Again, those hips hold so much tension, so much emotion that sometimes we underestimate the power of just allowing them to open and release and soften. If this is feeling really good, I invite you to pause the video here and stay a little bit longer. If you're ready to move with me, we're going to just gently use that right palm to press us back up through center. I'm going to switch to the other direction so I can see you, but we're just going to do the other side. You're welcome just to roll over, keep it super duper gentle. So setting up head and hand rather, using the bicep as a pillow, whatever feels good. Using that left palm to secure you, tipping tailbone and hip bone, and finding that circle. Again, if we start slow with our range of motion, it allows us to build as we become warmer. And it allows us to build in a way that's super supportive. So if we go right away into a big range of motion and our hips are moving all over the place, we're actually missing that opening that we're aiming for. We're keeping it, we're kind of using the body to move it as opposed to letting this stay in that hip flexor, in that hip girdle where that femur and the pelvic bone connect. Let's go other direction. So allowing yourself to start small and trusting that as it warms, a little range of motion will reappear. And this isn't about range of motion at all. So this is a really good place too, just to notice what stories are coming up in your brain about what the shape should look like, any sort of negative chatter, and just like the heat, inhale and greet it, and then exhale, let it go. Beautiful. Let's go ahead and start to find our half frog. Right leg extends, left leg is out into that 90-degree angle. I cactus through my left arm, and I bring my right arm down as a palm, or my palm for a little pillow. Again, finding that nice deep breath, softening. Giving yourself permission to find stillness. A lot of us have dialogues that tell us if we're not gasping for air, we're not doing the most. And the truth is, these positions, this holding, is just as important, if not more so, especially when we work out in other ways. This is one of those ways that we can reset and restore through our joints, through our muscles, our nervous system. One more nice deep inhale. Start to slide that leg back, toes together, knees wide, child's pose. I'm going to flip it around here, team, but you stay as you are. Find that breath. Big breath in. Exhale, gorgeous. Start to swing the legs around. We're going to go into a wide-legged forward fold position. So again, check with that brain. Notice if it has an idea of what this shape should be. If your brain is telling you like to be straight out to the side, I used to feel the same way until I learned anatomy and realized that the way the femur and the hip bone connect, a lot of us don't have that range of motion. So this is all about easing into your range of motion, little side shimmies, trying to think of that tailbone tipping forward just a little bit, or maybe shift it forward and backwards and notice where you're holding tightness. For some of us, maybe we're overextending, maybe we're too far this way, and just allowing the shoulders, best of our abilities, to stack. Maybe that means a little bit of bend in the legs. Beautiful. Inhale, stretching up to the sky, rotating over that left leg. Invite a bend into that left knee, and then reach the heart forward on that exhale, like you're trying to tap the heart onto the toe. Couple inhales here, find length. Open mouth exhales, find depth, your depth, remembering that stretches, while they look different on every body, they're feeling the same sensation, right? So if someone's hypermobile and their chest is all the way down, they're feeling the same sensation as someone whose range of motion might cut right here. So it's truly about your experience. There is no final pose. There is no right shape. There is no better than. Softening into this. Maybe the knee can find length. Maybe you get the best stretch if you have a big bend. Really taking time to recognize where you're at and embracing it. One more nice deep inhale. On our exhale, left elbow is going to come inside the left thigh. Right arm is going to stretch up and over. Again, big bend is welcome. Thinking of stretching out of the hip creases and over. So instead of collapsing into this, find so much length. Like there's something in the top corner of our room and we're trying to reach it. Big inhale. Exhale, start to melt forward into that forward fold. Again, whatever feels good here. Think of the pinky toes wrapping towards the back of the room. So instead of letting the knees fall forward, really opening, squeezing through the glutes. A little shimmy here. We're not here long this time. Start to walk it back up. Let's go other direction. Inhale, big stretch. Big bend in that right knee. Exhale as we sweep it forward. Inhale finds length. Exhale finds our version of this stretch. Giving ourselves that opportunity to greet the chatter with an inhale and to release its hold on us with that exhale. Keep thinking of heart pulling forward. Nice deep inhale as we shift that right arm inside the right thigh, lifting up and out of our hips. Left arm is reaching up and over, getting a big stretch. My left sits bone is pressed into the floor, so I'm not lifting at all. I really want to anchor so that as I extend, I can get that maximum stretch in that side body, those ribs opening up through the lungs even more here. Nice deep inhale. Sip in some air. And exhale, bringing it forward into that forward fold. Maybe a little shimmy. Sometimes that helps to create a little bit of opening to the tops of the hips. And then bringing it down to wherever you feel is supportive. Letting the head rest. Beautiful. Finding that inhale again, that cooling inhale. Beautiful. Take a big breath in through the nose. Exhaling out through the mouth as we swing those legs together. And switching directions on a little shake out here. And then we're going to find hero's pose. So hero's pose, we're bringing the feet pretty much to touch. Knees can have a little bit of space, but if thinking of bringing the legs together, scooping the tailbone under and sitting on those hips. If this isn't a great shape for you, by all means, take this next section either in child's pose and just an easy seat, and I'll show you some modifications. So easy seat is just anything that feels comfortable. But we're going to find this hero's pose, scooping the tailbone, squeezing the glutes. We're going to walk back ever so slightly. So the trick here is that we're not arching in our low back. We're really keeping that core turned on so that we can get a little stretch in the top of the legs. Beautiful. Big breath here. Nicely done. I'll face you so we can see a little bit better. Keep breathing. Again, setting ego aside, just letting this be where we're at. Shoulders are back, gentle bend in the elbows, gripping through the hands. And exhale, walking it back up, taking some gentle rolls through the neck. Slow, slow, slow. Shoulders are still as we let the neck travel. Next time your center, taking it around in the other direction. Regardless of the seat you're in, let's go ahead and meet in a narrow child's pose. Beautiful. So from heroes, it's literally just going to be folding forward, forehead on the ground, arms along the side. If you were in another kind of seat, just meet us here. In our extended child's pose, knees are wide. In this one, we're really keeping the knees nice and close. We're letting that back open. So this next move is called rabbit's pose. So let's give ourselves just a little bit of breath in through the belly, sip in a little air, feel it back, expand, and release. This one can be pretty intense, so I want you to pay super attention to how you're feeling. This child's pose is the perfect place to come back to if you feel like you need, if rabbit isn't supportive today. All right, team. So for rabbit, we're just going to start to grab the backs of our feet right around the heels. We're going to tuck the chin like crazy, so it's up against the chest, and we're on the top of the head. From here, we're going to pull on our heels and lift the hips up as we roll forward on our head. So top of the head is down, reaching back on those heels. Chin is super tucked, so we're safe. I'm into that chest. We're getting a huge opening through the back, through the neck, just a little bit. Hips are high. Again, if this doesn't feel good, don't do it, right? No reason to do something that doesn't feel good. If you need to, find that variation of child's pose we were just in and hang out there. This is a perfectly amazing back opener. Good, team. Keep pulling on the wrists, lifting through the hips. Pulling on the heels, in through the nose. Let go of that heat. I don't know about you, but this one creates a lot of heat in my body. Inhale. Open mouth. One more inhale. And exhale, lower. Beautiful work. Coming on back to that hero's pose. Wherever we are, little circles through the head. Amazing. Other direction. Using that open mouth exhale to really expel anything that came up for us there. And back to center. Beautiful. Team, we're going to take it down to our belly for our little Cobra series. Another opportunity to explore where you're at today and to feel no pressure, remembering there is no right shape. There is no perfect flow. It's yoga practice. So coming down all the way to our belly, however you want to get there. Go a little shift side to side with those hip bones underneath your body. We're going to press the feet down. So tops of the feet down, big toes pressing to the floor, inner thighs reaching to the sky. And then from here, we're just going to take a baby cobra. So the palms are going to be right underneath our shoulders, elbows in tight. Squeeze the butt like crazy. Press down so much through the feet that the thighs start to lift. The knees are off the floor because we're pressing into the floor with our toesies. Inhale, forehead down. Exhale, start to lift into your baby cobra. Shoulders are back. Glutes are so tight. Tops of the feet are pressing into the floor again. Super engaged through the abs, or excuse me, through the toes, through the glutes. Inhale, maybe find a little extra height on the exhale. Shoulders are down the back. Again, this is a ton of glute work here. So good. Shoulders out of those ears. Maybe a little extra lift on that next exhale. And then inhale, lower down. Left ear right, or left ear to the mat, eyes to the right. Arms by your side, little shake out. Roll the hips. Beautiful. Baby cobra is a perfect back bend to stay in. It activates your glutes, it activates the thighs, it gets into the shoulders, that whole back line. So if that feels like where it is most appropriate for you to stay today, I love that. We're moving into lotus next. So we're going to flip the palms, bring our forehead to the floor, our lips, and then start to walk our palms under our body. So shimmy the palms under the body, starting to bring the hands to touch. Again, baby cobra is a stupendous option. Pressing the lips into the floor, shoulders down. Let's just practice the leg. So shake up the left leg, let it go super soft. From here, engage through the right. So press the toe into the floor, lifting through that kneecap, squeezing the glute. And from here, we're going to send the leg out and back. So instead of thinking of lifting straight up, I want you to think of stretching the toe as far away from your hips as you can and letting this guide you into this lift. Keep pressing down through the butt, core is engaged. Big inhale, exhale, lower it, shake it out. And let's go left side. So start with that engagement on the floor. Press the top of the foot in like crazy. Squeeze through the left cheek, through those glutes. Inhale, exhale, start to stretch your left toe as far away from your body as you possibly can. Lifting up, 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 and away. So again, instead of thinking straight up, away, and then up, beautiful. Keep pressing the toe, keep engaging through the glute, and lower. Nicely done. Lips to the floor. We're going to try both legs if that feels supportive to you. So starting to engage, my hip bones are resting on my forearms. I'm gripping through the floor with my hands, pressing down through both toes. Start to engage through the thighs, squeeze through the glutes, lifting up and away here. Again, away, pressing down to the floor. Breathing, you got this. For 4, 3, 2, and lower. Nicely done. Slide those hands out. Let's take ears, right ear to the mat, eyes to the left. Maybe bend the legs in windshield wiper. If you are familiar with bow pose, that's where we're going next. It's a pretty intense pose. So again, any of the first two options are going to be stupendous back bends. If you're interested in trying, by all means, but again, really make sure that you're listening to what you need. So face is going to go down, lips kiss the mat. We start to bend one leg and then the other, reaching for the tops of our feet. This, for a lot of us, is probably going to be a stupendous quad opener. So this actually can be exactly where you stay. If you want to start progressing, moving into bow pose, same things apply. So just like lotus, I'm going to press my feet down into my hands. I'm going to squeeze my butt into the floor like crazy. So much power here. When my heart lifts, it isn't because I'm lifting up through my spine. It's because I'm kicking into my hands. It's the kick of my hands here that's creating this lift off the floor. My glutes are tight. My heart is open. Shoulders are down my back. And I think of squeezing my knees together. They're not going to touch, but instead of letting them splay open, really finding that center. So this is driven by the kick in the hands. Keep breathing. For 4. Keep breathing. 3, 2, and lower it down. Beautiful. Bend those knees. Either ear can go to the mat. Side to side windshield. In through the nose and out through the mouth. So wonderful, team. Let's go ahead and find an extended child's pose. Toes in, knees out, stretching, counter stretch here. So we bent our body back. Now we're bending it forward. And this, my friends, is where we finish, where we cool. In through the nose with that breath. Sip a little more air. Open mouth. Taking time to soften as we breathe. To let our body store away all the movements that we let it through today. Remembering all the times that maybe our bodies created more heat. Maybe we were even surprised by the amount of heat we created in a flow that primarily is stretching. For me, I find stretching because those muscles are getting warm. That's what helps them get length. That I sometimes sweat even more during stretches than I do during some strength. So in your mind, thinking of a time you created heat in today's flow, and remembering how that breath was there as a tool to cool. And then starting to let this scenario bleed into your day-to-day life, of other moments and ways that you might feel hot. Obviously, there's that physical sensation of heat in the air, of humidity. But then there's also moments of frustration, whether it's with ourselves, with someone else, moments of anger or embarrassment, guilt or shame, anxiety, all these things that create a heat in our system. And taking a moment just to store in our memory, in our nervous system, in our toolkit, the fact that breath, just like in those poses where heat was cultivated, breath expels that heat. There have been situations and studies that have shown that even just 3 rounds of the breath we've been practicing today can take the nervous system out of that parasympathetic fight or flight and start to guide it back into that sympathetic nervous system or fight and flight, and take it back into our parasympathetic of rest and digest. Our power of breath is one of our biggest tools when it comes to moving through the world with that sense of serenity. I know personally it's a tool that even though I've been practicing it for the last 4 years now, I still sort of forget now and then, but that's the beauty of a practice, is that we get opportunities, and when we have that thought of, oh my gosh, I can breathe through this, we start to remind ourselves each time and store the memories of that healing breath, the same way we store memories of movement. So the more we start to practice calming breath, the more we start to learn about its power, the more second nature it becomes to implement it when we're feeling stressed. So I invite you today to take one more nice deep inhale with me, zipping air through the nose, and a big exhale through the mouth. Raiders, namaste. Hope you stay cool, my friends.